I don't care about having to stay here again. Yeah, don't worry, we will.
Oh yeah, there's like a little cave up in there or something, dude. Stump. Oh, straight up there's like a cave. We'll be able to see it here in a sec.
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, the rocks that protrude out, and it's behind the tree now for me. Huh? What happened?
What just happened? Here comes thunder and lightning right on schedule when somebody's having an issue. They need to make it 2 miles out of Hinman. Just died. Went and had my bike check spark. Wasn't sparking, then all of a sudden it sparked 2 random times. It shocked him. And then it hasn't sparked since. I don't know my wiring, I don't know anything on these. I have an idea of how it works, but I just took the Hall effect sensor plate thing out. There's no way to test it. I thought maybe I could fake it out with sliding a screwdriver in and out of it like we used to do with boats and make it spark. It didn't. I don't want it to be the dreaded CPS thing that I hear about. Blake did inspect the wires to this distributor. 3 little ones, and they were like, one you could see the copper. So after I checked some of the transmission wires that I thought might be a neutral switch, which I don't know, tried to bypass them, jump them, unplug them. There was actually 2 wires that were touching on the distributor wires, so I have my fingers crossed because I don't want to leave this here. Everything will get stolen, it'll get shot up. I just want the good Lord to allow me to have let me and Blake find what the problem was and that this is gonna work. Please. I have enough stuff to be stranded. We have run out of water because we were stupid and didn't bring enough. We brought enough for the amount of days we were here, but this now adds a ton of time and at least 1 day of who knows. We are way back at the end of the road, right where Frank Church starts. I don't know, northwest of Stanley or lower Stanley. So pray this works. Okay, sun's going down. Blake decided, like a smart man, we gotta get a fire going and cook some fish. So we have bacon and fish, a little bit of ham. We build a fire ring in the road. We are waiting for a recovery. I don't know if they're gonna charge us $1 million an hour, or we may not even be able to tow this out. I have to leave it here and hide it, how to diagnose whatever the hell is going on. 1 mile an hour, almost 10 miles in, winching and doing shit, so it's less than 1 mile an hour.
The Mountain Dew bottle we have to use as the sucker, so it only has as much as it can suck up. But look at how clean it is.
God damn.
Feel it.
I almost want to just drink it.
Look at it. Look at this one. That's the sucker bottle.
Really?
Yeah. It's coming straight out of the ground. This is full. I use this to fill that and that. So these are filled to the brim.
So that's all good.
Yeah.
No question. These are creek.
No, this is creek now.
Oh, that's creek. So
Yeah.
we have...
Or not a full bottle, but...
Do we have any water to drink?
Yeah.
What?
The other bottle in the other fridge, dude.
Okay, the tall skinny one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
These came out of the trash. I washed them out.
Yeah.
But these are clean as
I can't believe that. I'm almost tempted just to drink it.
I know, look at it.
I mean, it's coming out of the ground from right there. There's no cow shit in between.
No, there's nothing. And this one was the one that sucked rocks and stuff up, but I got them all out.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Just try some.
give it a test. Fuck it.
It's gonna be so cold, it's ice cold water.
Oh.
Good?
God damn.
That's good.
You can't even buy mineral water. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm drinking it. Oh, we have unlimited of that and it's not far.
You can put it. And if we start getting sick, fuck it, I'll just die right here. But
We won't get sick.
if we start getting sick, who cares? But thanks, Blake. Good on water. We are drinking it out of the ground, hoping it's okay. We could boil it, but we're lazy. Came right.
It doesn't go anywhere else.
Where is it? Like around the corner?
It's right over there.
So it's running out of the mountain. It's literally obviously coming right from that cornice right up there. I mean, part of it. And it's running through the rocks and coming out of the ground down here. So I've drank worse.
It actually does taste really good.
It does. It really does. You know what?
I'm gonna put these in the fridge.
Yes.
Or I'll just
Put them in whatever we're gonna get in and out of, like maybe the cooler.
Well, the
And
thermos
what's in
doesn't
the
even need
cooler?
to go, right? Because it's cold. It'll keep it cold. So
Right,
I'll just put this
right.
in there.
Right.
This will be another drinker bottle. The other one
Now
in
is
the
all
very
the
back.
food in the fridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
The eggs and there's
So what's in here?
mayonnaise and mustard. And
You even put our eggs in the fridge?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Oh, we put the food.
Oh,
Nope, there they
no,
are.
it's because it's colder. Look how much ice is here.
I know, but we're gonna be in and out of this one.
So the other one's not cold.
The fridge is.
Not that cold.
It says 35.
I can take this out. And put it in the fridge.
Yeah, do that.
You don't want the ice in there, just
Right. And then put the fish in the fridge too. And make sure you put the food on one side because you know it's probably leaking fish juice and shit. So let's try to keep a dirty side and a clean side.
Okay. Yeah, this ice drink will fucking help.
Okay.
It obviously feels better now. It's not fucking 100 degrees and sunny.
Yeah. And that's also one of the coolest frickin' cloud formations I've ever seen. High winds aloft, splitting the middle. The huge thunderhead. And then the sun would be high right over us. I don't even know what time it is. Alright. Alright, we have overpriced for Patriots solar charger that's literally keeping us with GPS, so I'm not going to talk trash anymore. We have an overpriced per month Garmin that is now worth its weight in gold. Tall Jeep with a tire carrier that's keeping us out of the sun from dying. We have an overpriced battery pack that was still half price because it was refurbished as it hooked to solar panels that everybody told me I'm an idiot to buy, which is literally keeping our important shit alive and or will be. It already has for 3 days. Got it for the fridge because the battery in the fridge only lasts 6 hours, which that's designed that. Like, called them and told them that. I said, I think the battery's bad.
Fridge.
And they're like, well, it's designed that you buy spare batteries. Batteries are $200. I could have bought one of the good fridges by the time I've bought spare batteries. So you're telling me if I go touring, camping, overlanding, off-roading, whatever, and I plan on being gone for 7 days in the middle of nowhere, I have to have like 20 batteries for this fridge?
For your fridge?
No. I don't. 5-year warranty on that, and standard warranty is 3 years, so refurbished makes it even better, and I've never had an issue with that. It's been through hell. The solar panels was a return, all on eBay. So EcoFlow has an eBay site for all of their refurbished and return stuff.
Yeah.
So those solar panels were normally a couple $100. I got them for $89, and they're literally brand new. Still had the plastic and everything. So thank you.
Yeah, and we're lucky that the sun's out too.
Yeah.
No sun, no pow wow wow. this point.
Why don't you give us an update on what's going on here?
Are we ready?
Yeah, since I don't really want to.
We've been stuck for like 4 or 5 hours now. Probably about 4 hours.
Broke down.
Broke down. Can't fix it right now. And the mosquitoes are terrible.
And they've been terrible the whole time.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes them better is the fact that we had plenty of good food and drinks and fire and fishing.
Yeah.
But now we don't have anything but mosquitoes.
Yeah, it's just... Honestly, if we sit here for long enough, we will get carried off.
Yeah. Please do.
Maybe someone
Carry me up there. I can send a smoke signal or something.
Someone's gonna find your phone and go watch the last video, and they're gonna be like, "Damn, they went out to mosquitoes."
They're like, "Oh, nobody told them."
Yeah, no one told them. That's why we stopped doing the road.
Dang, I thought everybody knew. That's why nobody drives that fucking road anymore. Like, nobody goes there unless they have a fully enclosed vehicle.
It's not that bad. If we had an outhouse right here, it'd probably make it real cool.
Yeah, I did leave the commode down there if you need to go.
We're gonna have to go return our salmon permits.
Heck yeah, these didn't work.
Yeah, these didn't work. They're bugs.
Now it says, on a different mode, it says it has an hour and 18 minutes left.
Nice. Yeah, it's probably so you probably having some high def. Super def. Yeah, look at that chute. It's just like trees perfectly in the middle.
Yep.
That's funny.
It's weird.
It's weird. Are they leaving you alone over here a little bit?
No.
Not really. No.
No, not at all. God damn. Fuck.
All right, we found our guy. They're up here hanging out, doing some fishing, waiting for us to show up. Luckily, he had some bigger wrenches. We tightened down our axle.
20-pound fish hits like a freight train.
And they just
Do their
ripping. That's cool. So, yeah, you caught us.
I did it 2 years ago.
Gotcha. We're gonna get picked up, hooked up, and dragged out. See how it goes.
All right, here we go. The story. So Blake and I, short notice, talked on a Saturday, and we were at the Meridian, or actually it was the Eagle Fun Days. So I asked him, hey, let's do what we've been talking about for a couple years. Let's see if we can make it up and go visit my dad's little impromptu monument we made with a can of ashes and some of the his pictures and things on it, as you saw in the video. So he's like, all right, let's do it. So short notice. I usually like to have 24 hours at least with my OCD-ness to get ready and have things, and so I didn't really, but I got the Jeep ready. It was a Sunday morning, picked him up from his house, and we ventured out. Now our plan was to go up to Silver Creek Plunge. We had talked back and forth about, going up to the Salmon Chalice and seeing the ashes and the monument, doing some fishing up at the High Alpine Lake up there. And so we went back and forth on the way out of town, and we decided we're going to go to the Salmon Chalice National Forest, which is on the east side of Highway 21. across from, Stanley and the Sawtooth. So I told my wife where we were going, always do, like you should. And she's like, have fun, see you later. So our plan was to come back Monday. And like I said, this was Sunday. So we headed up that way, had a nice drive. Went into Stanley, got our salmon license or tags, if you will, stamps, whatever they are, because we had planned on maybe fishing in the Salmon River for the end of the salmon run up there. We ended up getting gas, went to the grocery store, the gas station, and he luckily had brought a pretty big jug of water. I normally have 2 giant jugs of water on top of the XJ at any given time. My wife texted me when we were in Stanley, and she says, "Hey, you forgot your water jugs." I'm like, "Yeah, I realize that. It's okay. We'll take care of that. We'll be fine." We didn't get water in Stanley. I brought some steaks, and Blake brought a bunch of stuff for sandwiches. I brought some pre-mixed eggs and bacon and peppers. So we had enough food for our trip. We had a great time fishing, as you saw from the video, and just a great time overall. We didn't even get much alcohol. Usually he likes to have some drinks, and I have some drinks. I brought a few, he brought a few, but we're going to be there a few days, so whatever. And as I've gotten older, I don't drink much. If I do, it's just a few stiff ones, and we'll leave it at that. But provision-wise, we were okay. I was a Boy Scout. I've been going up in the mountains hunting and fishing and camping and stuff my whole life, and as Blake grew up, he did too. As a matter of fact, his very first words were taught to him by 2 of my sisters on the banks of Anderson Ranch Reservoir back in 1997. So it's kind of funny, but he's very familiar with being in the outback, if you will, in the forest away. So we head up towards the spot, and the trail after the lookout up there, there's 2 ways you can go. The old way, if you want to have fun and you don't want to get in trouble, bring a friend, because it's pretty steep and pretty off camber and washed out. But there is a new road around the lookout that is more maintained. But anyway, as you get back there, maybe a mile from the lookout, the road starts turning into more of an ATV trail, because the Forest Service apparently doesn't keep that road up to date, which is fine. That's one of the main reasons I like it. Not a lot of people. So as it narrows down, it also starts getting very off camber in spots. There's a lot of washouts. It starts turning into just granite rock. Couple small boulders and little walls here and there to go up and down. It is very steep in places. You do a lot of climbing to get up there, and then past the lookout you actually climb more. And then a few miles, I guess I'm being rough here, but a few miles back is the monument for my dad's ashes, and a couple lakes you can hike to that are full of fish and stuff. You got to be well seasoned to get into these places. It takes a half day to get into a lake and a half day to get out on foot. So, but basically, we had a great time getting in. Like I said, camping was fun. Fishing's great. Fish on every cast. Big cutthroats and cut bows are in there, and that's what we like to do. So Monday morning we packed up early, cleaned up camp, and verified the campfire was out, things like that. And we're like, okay, so what are we gonna do? Head home? No, let's go. When we get back towards the highway 21, let's head towards Stanley to the Salmon River, and I know a couple spots where if the salmon are decent, we should be able to hook into one at least. So that was the plan, and we were going to come back late Monday night. So I looked at Onyx as we were sitting there stranded for hours waiting for help. We made it, as the crow flies, about 1,000 feet from camp. That 1,000 feet from camp is the roughest and worst and steepest, which, in Blake's words, let that XJ eat, and it just makes easy work of anything. So no worries, going slow, everything's fine. The XJ, other than cooling system issues I had the first couple of years that were just almost impossible to fix, which I finally figured out and did, never really have worries. K suspensions worked out the axles over and drive shafts, and I've worked bearings and knuckles and things over, things that I know how to do, and so I'm always confident, and I carry at least $1,000 worth of tools and a couple spare parts. Nothing big, but I have just enough of a mechanical background in vehicles, small and large, that if there's a mechanical breakdown, unless it needs a part that I don't have, I'm not worried. So in the last video, you kind of saw basically the trip from the campground and right till the XJ died. And so, of course, it's an immediate feeling of, okay, my brain kicks in and it says, all right, not gonna freak out. I gotta keep my son from freaking out, which he didn't, and he's seasoned, as I said. And let's dig in and find out what's going on. So, you know, fuel, air, spark, compression. Went through those things, and basically him and I figured out, we took the coil wire off and figured out it didn't have spark, which I have the actual shop manual for that XJ, not Climber, but the actual shop manual. I never studied it, and I haven't dove into the electronics. I've done a lot of research online and stuff about certain things that can happen and do happen, but it lost spark, and I thought, oh man, okay, it's a primitive fuel injection and ignition system. It's a 99, so it's not the worst one, it's not the best one, but all right, let's figure it out. So I don't have an ohm meter, I don't have my voltmeter. I can't test the coil, but I can inspect everything. So I went straight for the neutral lockout in case that was it. Come to find out, I jumpered it, unplugged it, I found them all, every plug-in underneath for the transmission. Went through the wires, inspected, did things. I made a jumper wire because I carry a roll of wire and some electrical things, and I studied the book, the manual, for about 20 minutes and found out, you know, the neutral safety switch, it keeps the starter even from turning over. So I got that out of the way, went back under the hood, took the distributor cap off, and noticed it has a primitive Hall effect type sensor for, you know, fire. And so I tried to fake it out the only way I knew, which would be interrupting that Hall effect sensor, to tell it that, you know, to fake it out, tell it the engine's turning over. Well, it wasn't making a spark or doing anything. And so I had Blake, I'm like, get a fresh set of eyes in there. I had Blake, I'm like, get in here, look things over, stare at it, whatever. And he found there's 3 wires going to the distributor and to that sensor, and he found that the 3 wires going in the distributor, we kind of pulled back. It's in very good shape, the XJ is, so all of the wire loom and everything from the factory is all still on there. It's really nice under there. I keep it nice and clean. He pulled some loom back, and he's like, well, there's some copper showing on. Alright, so you've heard me say it before if you watch my channel, GoPros suck. How many minutes was that? 15 minutes? overheated, turned off, whatever. Sorry, I have my phone. My other camera was stolen, along with a bunch of other stuff. So anyway, we went through everything we could for a few hours on the Jeep. I finally had to swallow my pride and tell Blake, like, I'm gonna have to send a message for help. So what I did was I got on my Garmin InReach Mini, which my wife had got me a few years ago when I started hunting by myself, and it was always kind of love-hate. It's money you pay for. It was expensive. You can pause the service, you could turn it on and off, things like that, but either way, now it's the only way for me. So I sent her a message with detailed information, which is very important. I said, 1, the Jeep broke down. We are still in the middle of nowhere. We were on our way home. 2, listen closely. This is not a text back and forth. I need you to contact or become friends with or look up this group and or this man on Facebook. This group I've followed a lot. I like it a lot. There's quite a few members. It's a Facebook group. They're mostly all local. They just get out and have fun. They raise money for suicide awareness. Casey's Smile. And I've watched short videos of them saving other people, fixing people's things on the trail. It was my only option in my mind at that time. I hadn't been thinking clearly. I needed to eat. We did finally start drinking spring water, which was really good, as you saw from the video. But the older I get, I've been noticing I've been getting lightheaded and weird things up at higher elevations, like above 8,000 feet. So pretty sure I self-diagnosed myself with some sort of elevation sickness or something. I don't know. Not that I'm thinking clearly, but harder to breathe, out of breath, which makes me feel lightheaded or sometimes high, if you will. So basically, I said, get a hold of this guy or these people or someone in this group. Respond back to me as soon as you hear from or whatever, and relay the exact message. Also, get his phone number so that I can start texting him from my Garmin. When you have a Garmin InReach, you have kind of a false number. It's not really your phone number, but it does also attach your latitude and longitude as for where you're sending messages from. She can also get on the website and follow me. I think I have the Garmin set to like every 30 minutes it'll send a ping to a map. If she wanted to, or anyone I share it with could see where I was at within 50 yards or so. So she responded back. I got a hold of this guy. He said he's already on a recovery. He asked informative questions like, are they out of food? Are they out of water? Is there danger? etc. I told her, I texted back, I said, here's our exact situation and please send me his number. She let them know and sent me his number, and then I therefore sent him a message and his friend to let them know our status from a certain point, and so he could have my Garmin number and our exact location. So we basically set up shop, if you will, opened up the Jeep. It was really hot. A thunderstorm blew through, then came back. It was in and out. So it was really hot. There was a lot of mosquitoes. And basically the only food we had left was all the fish we caught, which is awesome because I'd rather eat fish than anything. But it's bacon, and we have all our cooking stuff. I have, I had my stove and all that, but it was packed in the back, Tetris stacked, if you will, in the XJ, in the Jeep. So I thought, well, let's get things going. So let's start thinking about if we're going to have to stay the night and things like that, because we're not only 3 hours from Stanley, but we're 2 or 3 hours past that. So even if they dropped what they were doing and came right now, they would have still been 5-6 hours. So when we sent the help message out, I think it was, 1 or 2 o'clock. An hour later, he responded, said, hey, we're fueling up, we're getting ready to go, headed your way, and made sure we didn't need anything else. An hour after that, he sent another message keeping me updated, saying, hey, we got held up for a sec, but we'll still be there, we're just an hour longer. So Blake got all of the containers out of our trash, because as you should, we pack everything out. And so we had some empty pop bottles, my coffee thermos, his old water bottle, and something else. And so he grabbed all that and headed down the road to find water. Now, we can boil water, so it didn't need to be drinkable. He came back and he was excited, and as you saw on the latest video, or even on this video, depending on where I put it, he found another spring, which there's a bunch up there, basically coming right out of the ground or right out of the rock wall or whatever. And it's, if you have training or if you know or you have the information, you know what water you can and can't drink depending on where it comes out of and where you're at. I have a go bag with, it had 7 freeze-dried meals in it, so we weren't going to starve. In my go bag, which I have a video from this last winter, if you want to go back and see it, of me having dinner on the side of the road, kind of going through my go bag. This bag is always with me. And this bag is not to be gotten into while I'm camping or touring or anything, other than some headlamps, flashlights, things like that. It's all emergency stuff, and I recommend something like that. So he came back with all of the containers of water full. Thank goodness, mineral water. I swear we were getting drunk on the mineral water. It was so good. And so we didn't have to filter it or boil it, which was awesome. We had a great time. He's my oldest son. He's gonna be 30. So I didn't have to try to help keep any cool heads. There was no worrying. There was no stress. He did have a big work meeting the next day that he really didn't want to get out of, obviously. But if we had to, we could have. But fast forward, and you can see through the videos, we started a fire, we cooked fish in the cast iron, we had a great time. Fast forward to, they finally showed up. It was about a half hour before dark, and they were in good spirits, we were in good spirits. We actually wrenched on his XJ a little bit. He had a leaf spring issue, and like I said, I have a lot of tools that I carry with me at all times in that Jeep, just for fear. So we helped them out, got their leaf springs worked out, and then I said, this is in your hands. Knowing recovery efforts and trying to be smart and study it, you're always going to hand over a recovery effort to whoever you deem necessary. I hand it to him. I'm clear-thoughted, but I'm not fully clear. I'm like, hey, you came in, I've been back here a few days. Excuse me, I don't know the road conditions, what's happened. It rained a little off and on. The road is gnarly. There's straight up and downs with rocks poking out. There's little kind of 2-3 foot boulder climbs. There's a lot of cut logs and uncut logs sticking out in the road, which, like I said, is basically a little bit narrower than the XJ in a lot of spots until you get closer to the highway. He said with confidence, let's go. Let's tow you out. We got all the gear. And I said, I have recovery gear too. So I had all the recovery gear ready to go in case we need anything. He had a winch. Of course, I'm in op. So I haven't run the battery dead yet, but I'm not using the winch because it'll run the battery dead instantly. I wanted to save the battery for any light that I needed. So instead of stashing the XJ, hindsight is always 20/20. I probably should have just been okay with stashing the XJ, the Jeep, somewhere, and getting Blake home and coming back in our side-by-side with parts and throwing a bunch of parts at it and camping on the side of the road while I tried to get it running. But he had great confidence. Both of them had great confidence. So it's like, all right, let's go. You know, it's 12 miles from the highway. Half of it's really horrible, the rest is not. The problem is it doesn't run, so the power brakes are not anywhere near good brakes when they have no power. The steering is nowhere near good steering when you don't have power, yada, yada, yada. Within a couple of miles, we had already gotten caught up on a stump. Don was winching us both up hills. We were coasting down hills, trying to make the best of it, doing the best we could, lengthening, shortening the rope. And like dummies, we weren't wearing our seat belts for many excuses that aren't good, especially Blake getting in and out of the Jeep, helping out with those things. We got to a point where there's about a 22-degree off camber, and there's a kind of a creek running through a washout on the road. There's a lot of snow, and cornice is still up high. So as they're melting, they're creating, false creeks. I knew this spot, and I had mentioned it. I knew this spot was gonna be a problem. He didn't think so, so I went with his confidence, and we didn't have much light. We had park lights. I had a safety light on top. Blake was holding the flashlight out. We got to a point where, I have a debilitating disease. I have ankylosing spondylitis. It affects my back. It sometimes affects my guts, my internals. I have arthritis problems all over from it. My wrists have been fused, things like that. No excuses. I'm trying to be a tough guy still, not give up. But thankfully, as you heard in the previous video, Blake's like, I'll help the old boy. So he was helping steer the steering wheel with me with his left hand. He was running the emergency brake with his right hand, helping me out. And as it got dark, we got into this washout spot, as I said. And I couldn't see, but I knew by the angle we were at, it was coming. And I had just looked at Blake and said, oh, here's that spot. And just instantaneously, we hit the creek running through the washout in the road, and it was basically kind of a 45-degree turn, maybe not 90, but close. So 22-degree with a 45 turn, and at the end of this turn is the water running through, which is just loose rocks, the dirt's washed out, and an instantaneous about 20-25 foot straight up section. Hindsight, we should have shortened the rope. I think we were at like 20 feet or so. It was a Yankum, all the stuff good, whatever. But I think we all got complacent. I think the length of the rope was smart on Don's idea for the aspect of, so we didn't have to get out and winch both again. If he could get up on top of this climb, he'd have a better chance of pulling me and Blake up the steep section. That I would go back on was number one, probably leaving the Jeep there, like I said, and fixing it later. Number two, and I was scared of getting shot up and things stolen. That happens nowadays. It sucks, even in Idaho.
So, the long line ended up, by the time he had gotten to the top of the climb, the front end of the XJ, our Jeep, had just come into the turn and we were off camber. Right as soon as we hit the wash, I felt the front squish down, and I looked at Blake and I said, oh, this is it. And whether the radios didn't work well or you couldn't hear well or whatever, it yanked the front of the Jeep, the actual front of the Jeep, because we're hooked up with a rope, yank them. And what had happened was it had the long trailer effect. He's up this way, we're this way. It yanked us the way he was going before we needed to, basically, and pulled the front end down into the wash. We were screaming and yelling out the window. I couldn't grab the radio to scream and yell at him, which one of us should have done, because we were both screaming, holding the wheel the opposite way and the brake, and stop, 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 and hoping that we could get him to stop because we were already down like this. Well, slow motion in my mind. I don't even know how fast it really was, but instantaneously I felt us go up. My legs were hanging. I was holding on to the brake and that, but we had rolled. It was slow in my mind. Blake and things had landed on me when we were turned on our side this way, smashed my head against the door jamb, and of course he was freaking out because he didn't have a belt on, and he ended up kind of bent over backwards in half over the passenger seat, so half of him was in the back and his legs were still in the front. And when everything finally stopped and I realized we were done rolling, my left leg was out the window, and my left leg, it's a lot better now, but it was black and blue all the way down. I don't think the Jeep rolled on it. If it did, somehow miraculously it didn't get cut off. And being on the brake so hard, I still ended up with my feet up over the dashboard. It's really crazy. If you've never been rolled over in a vehicle, physics does some crazy stuff. So at that point, we're freaking out. I was trying to keep Blake calm. They were up there. Well, what I hadn't realized and didn't think of because of the situation is, as we started rolling, they were up on the flat of that 25, yard climb. All I heard was, hold the brake, hold the brake, hold the brake. And so I would just mash the brake like almost to the floor. Might have even, I don't know, I haven't checked because it's not running yet. I haven't fixed it yet, but I might have even blown the booster or the master cylinder out. As we loaded up our personal belongings, what we could find, wallet, phones, basically weapons, things of huge concern and things you want to keep, as far as personal items. On the way back, he said, yeah, we didn't even know what you were yelling about until we started getting pulled backwards, and we were headed backwards off the side because, as we were still connected with the rope. So as we're rolling and coming down, it's trying to pull them down off too. And part of the left of that deal was there was a small tree in between us, and there's not many live trees up there, but small tree in between us, and I remember the rope kind of being in a spot where maybe it helped even possibly keep them from coming off backwards. So that's pretty much what happened. The ride home was weird as far as, I was hurting bad but trying to ignore it. These people that I'd never even seen nor met in my life dropped what they were doing to come save two people they've never seen or met. which is enough to make you cry, really. So we make it home, and Blake, didn't want to go to the hospital, and he, I'm sure, had a concussion. His head got hit pretty hard too, and so I texted my wife, and they gave me a ride to my house, and she immediately took me to the hospital. Separated shoulder, possible concussion, black leg, all that stuff. So I think this was July 1st or so at this point, so July 2nd. I am at home freaking out. I can't, everything I own and have other than my personal wallet and, guns and things we've saved for and spent money on. And I know money's not an object, and we're glad to be alive and, all that. I understand that. But when it ends, you're like, okay, my stuff is all still up there. The Jeep is full. The windows are blown out. There's access to it. And it's about to be the 4th of July weekend a couple days later. And of course, everybody comes up early. 4th of July was on a Friday, so I'm thinking, Stanley now, with all the other crap that's built and going on there, which I don't agree with, it's got a place that rents ATVs and side-by-sides. Now, normally, not that many people go here. They don't know about it, or they don't want to drive that gnarly road. But when you incorporate out-of-towners, four-wheelers, and side-by-sides, all of a sudden, everything's possible. We hadn't seen more than 2 people or 2 vehicles. There was like 3 dirt bikers, because there's a really famous dirt bike trail that cuts through there. And I think we saw 1 4-wheeler with 2 people on it. But they just come to the lake, check it out, and then turn around and leave. Nobody camps, really, that I've seen there. At least when we've been there. But I get a hold of Don. Actually, he's keeping in contact with me, as if I'm like a family member. And also Billy, who was also helping out and with Don on that save when they came and got us out of the remote woods. So I contacted Billy. Billy actually has an off-road recovery company, and I didn't realize that's who I've been following, but he's got a YouTube channel. It's Idaho Off-Road Recovery, I believe. So I watched some of his videos. He's got a cool track truck for snow and like 4 or 5 different big rigs and stuff. So I asked Billy, I said, hey, would you be willing, since you know where it's at and what's going on, willing to recover it? Obviously I've got insurance and things, so whatever. So he says, yeah, other than, like everyone else, we've got a 4-day weekend because of 4th of July, so it's going to sit up there for more than a week. So Don checked in again for the multiple time with me and my wife. I don't know, it was a day or 2, maybe 3 later, and he said, hey, I've conjured up a bunch of people from, this group that I'm in, and we're willing to turn this 4-wheel drive weekend, or this, 4th of July weekend into a 4-wheel drive weekend. We want to go check out the spot. We've never been up there. I know how to get there because we came and got you. Do you think it would be okay for us to go up there and get everything we possibly can out of your Jeep? And I basically started crying, and I said, that would be the biggest weight lifted off my shoulders at this point, other than my separated shoulder, which is still separated. Him and 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 other people went up and did that on the 4th of July weekend. They had seen plenty of people going in and out. There was questionable guy, which now at this point, putting some things together, trying to be a CSI crime scene weirdo, I'm like, you know what? I bet you we know who took most of my stuff that was laying there out of the Jeep. Anyway, people reached out on Instagram. They said, hey, we found your Jeep. We're seeing if you're alive. What's going on? Please respond. There was a kid and his dad, Taylon Roberts, I think. Obviously born and raised in Idaho, and I say that because he had no intentions of stealing anything, and they ran across all my stuff strewn across the road and down into the gully and then saw my Jeep. And he sent me a message, you know, are you okay? I don't know what we could do to help, but yada, yada, yada. Hey, we found a bunch of stuff and put it in your Jeep. We didn't know what else to do, but we wanted to make sure maybe there was no one laying there dead, or we should go back up and inspect or call the sheriff, or... Which, by the way, I called the sheriff 3 days later. Nobody had reported it, but plenty of people had driven by it and stolen things out of it, which is really sad. This day and age sucks, kind of. So, that's pretty much the update on what happened in a nutshell. I'm going to go over some things with you that I've written down that might help you or anyone you know. Kind of some bullet points of things that you should think about in these scenarios, whether you're stranded for whatever reason, broke down and or rolled, and then on and on. So let's go over some bullet points.